This is Live Well with Barrie. I hope the new year has been great for you and continues to be so. On this week's show, we have none other than DeCutter Clement.
Thank you, sir.
Lovely to see you.
It's a pleasure.
The star of hairdressing, or one of the major stars of hairdressing in London.
It's a pleasure.
So tell me the story. What are you doing now?
Lots. We do lots, actually.
Because I see you've got a great brand here going on.
Absolutely. I think it's in my opinion, I think it's only natural that as a black hairdresser, and of course coming of age, it's crucial that we provide for our clients aftercare. Right. Aftercare is the key, basically, to decent hairdressing. You can't go to the hairdressers and then you leave. You have to leave with something. Agree. Right? And I'm big into oils. Right. We've been big into black people are big into oils. And it's interesting.
Skin, hair, everything.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to see now that our European counterparts or contemporaries are using oils.
And now telling us about
that's right.
And coconut oil.
That's right.
We have learned about this. Okay.
we brought oils into the equation, and now it's been refined. It's light. It's lighter. Because back in the day, it was the norm to go to a hairdressing salon, be it Brixton, Harlesden, Shepherd's Bush, and you had the oils literally pasted on your scalp. You know, the scalp is parted. That's right. And so now we have a more sophisticated oil. We have the argans, we have the shea butter, and we have the macadamian, and they're brilliant.
And all of this you have in your range.
Absolutely.
Now we will get to that later.
Sure.
But I want to go back to the early years. Now,
the foundation.
I know fundamentally you're Grenadian.
Absolutely, of course.
When did you come here?
As a child, like everybody else. As a child, I came to the UK. I think I was 9 years old, basically.
Right. Okay.
And I couldn't have felt better because I came to the UK thinking that they were ahead of us. When I came to the UK, the kids, my friends were pretty much behind because the education in the Caribbean were, as you know,
it was pretty advanced.
Of course it was.
Is that especially for like secondary school?
Well, yeah, that's right.
You found that I went straight secondary school children were ahead.
That's right. I went straight into secondary at the time. I think it was the first year. No, second year actually, and that was it. And you know.
So when you came, where did you come to live?
Of course, with the parents. I came to.
Was it in London?
London, yeah, right. Yeah, London, West London. Acton, West London. I'm a West London guy. Acton, Shepherd's Bush. That's it. Ealing.
You're right. And now your salon has gone back to Ealing.
We're back in Ealing, as you know. I worked in the West End for many years. Yeah. My entire apprenticeship was in the West End with Splinters, as you know.
But you're definitely one of the movers and shakers. For sure. We an institution.
We were the pioneers, and thanks to Winston Issac, the man who actually revolutionized Afro hair and took Afro hair to the next level. There were many other great salons, I have to add, but Winston, being a Sassoon trained hairdresser, took black hair to the next level. So in other words, black hair, when it was our contemporaries or our competitors would make, black hair was stiff, was literally solid, and Winston made black hair move.
That was always
move.
The moving of the hair.
Right. That's right. Shape, balance, and movement.
So you came to West London, and what were your first jobs?
I was an apprentice. I remember asking Winston.
So it was always hairdressing?
Always hairdressing. I began, like most guys, I began doing my apprenticeship in engineering, and I thought to myself, it's interesting. As a black kid back then, I recognized very early that there were indifference. You know, if you were a black child, you wasn't going to be moved up the ladder. And I said to my mom, I really need to work for a black company. And there were no black companies in London. Yeah. There literally wasn't any black firms in London that I knew of as a child, or as a teenager. And I remember going to the West End with my girlfriend. We went to the West End, and of course every young girl then would aspire to go into Winston Issac and Splinters. And she knew, I didn't know there was a salon. I went to the barbers at first in Acton and said to the barbers, John, can you teach me to do barbering? And he says, no man, go in the West End. And a week later,
you probably see that there was more potential than being a barber.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am technically, as a young man in London back then, I did my engineering, my City and Guilds, I did my HND, my OND, and it just wasn't for me.
Right.
It wasn't for me. Not because I didn't want to do engineering, it's because I knew then I wouldn't elevate. I didn't see myself becoming the next.
There was no potential for growth.
For black kids. Yeah. Hell no.
So it was always hairdressing for you, and Splinters was your first protocol?
That was
there anywhere before?
Well, I went to Splinters with my girlfriend. I went there with her and I sat in the reception area, sat there waiting for her to get her hair done. And all I remembered, Barry, was all these black celebrities.
Right.
I was like, but this is the place. I need to be, this is where I need to be. There were lots of young black boys and girls. There was, of course, Winston. Yeah. I mean, the star. Winston Issac, amazing. Phenomenal man, indeed. And I said, after she had her hair done, I mean, the hair looked fantastic, and I said, babes, I think I need to come and work here as a barber.
Right.
And I remember asking Winston, I said, Winston, would you mind training me? And he says, yeah, start tomorrow.
As easy as that.
Literally in those days.
You want to do it?
I started the next day, and I started the next day as a shampooist. It was a 5-year apprenticeship, 5 years. Literally 5 years, 1 year for washing, 1 year for relaxing, 1 year for perming. Every aspect of the trade took a year. So, you know, when we were trained, we were solid.
Because, I mean, there were other major salons at that time, like St. Clair's.
Yeah, St. Clair's, phenomenal people. They actually, I think, phenomenal. They did, in my opinion, far more than Winston, because they started doing the products. They had their own product line.
Right.
George St. Clair and Lorna St. Clair. I think George was from St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And she was a Jamaican, dynamic woman. You know, they say besides every great man
is a dynamic.
No, there's a greater woman. And then she was phenomenal. And you had St. Clair's. Then you had people like Joan Sarms back in the day. Supreme. Remember Supreme?
Supreme.
They had the curly perm thing.
That's right.
You had people like in Fulham. You had what's his name? Brilliant salon in Fulham. So there are many salons in those days in every area. You had Shepherd's Bush had many salons. Brixton.
And all quite worthy of breaking through that barrier.
They were
but
phenomenal.
Only a few were actually able to do it.
Well, I think Winston being, of course, in the West End, he had the pedigree. Because remember, he's a Sassoon. Sassoon trained. Yeah. Right? So he approached black hair from a cutting perspective.
Yeah.
In those days, you style. You set the hair and you back home and you style the hair into this pompadous.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the reason why Sassoon became famous, because he literally revolutionized the cut. Winston revolutionized cutting Afro hair.
Right.
Right? Sassoon revolutionized cutting hair for white women. Winston did the same thing for Afro hair.
Yeah.
So the hair was no longer styled and lacquered, and he just literally made the hair move.
It was always about the movement.
Movement was pivotal in hair. So black women came to Splinters, aspired to come to Splinters, because they came for the look. Because remember, in those days, we were doing the Diana Rosses, we were doing the Shirley Fergusons, we were doing the Sheila Mings. You remember Sheila Ming? Sheila Ming was our first supermodel.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, that was the salon that catered for the elite. Yeah. The ambassadors, the doctors, all the elite, basically. And of course, your working classes. So you saved your money and you came to Splinters.
And to be able to be in the midst of all of that is quite a privilege.
Literally, I mean, I learned, remember, here I am, a young working class black boy from West London. I literally, when I went to Splinters, you learned every aspect of life. You learned to speak. It's like Motown did for the singers. Splinters was a life coaching.
It was everything. It was from dress sense to deportment.
Literally. The salon was very palatial. In those days, salons were large. Well, those shops were large. And there were many aspects of the shop. You had the washing compartment, the relaxing compartment. You had the cutting department. It's a very large, it's a very large salon. 2 floors, basically. And so when you left there, you were a completed individual. You just went, you could leave Splinters.
You had a complete makeover.
Absolutely.
How to dress, how to walk, how your hair's done, your makeup's done, everything.
Every sensibility.
So when you left Splinters, what was your next move? Because I remember DeCutter Clement being the next, shall we say, hairdressing god. Well, a hair salon in Lancaster Gate, another West End.
Yeah, you don't leave Splinters and go down. You move up, because that salon had such an incredible pedigree, incredible concept that I had to move up to the next level. And I remember being offered a shop next door to Splinters.
Right.
I was offered a shop next to the Splinters. I had two partners. One was an accountant, the other was a banker. We collaborated, and he said, we need to open a shop, and it has to be next door to Splinters. I said, no, I can't do this to Winston. Yeah. This is the man who taught
that
me.
Now becomes competition.
Loyalty. You know, there's a word that people, there's a wonderful term, real. Real. What's real? I think is real goes like this. So there aren't any loyal people out there. No loyalty. I was very loyal to Winston, and there was no way I was going to open a shop next to the Split. I wish I had, looking back and think, because I tell you why I wish I had. Ebony and Ivory from Birmingham took the location after I'd left.
And that became Ebony?
No, Ebony and Ivory. Ebony and Ivory. No, Ebony, it was Ebony, sorry.
Ebony.
That's right, Ebony.
Street, I remember.
And Maddox Street, that's right.
It was a much smaller shop.
Much smaller, but it was next door. That's right. And so I moved my location now, in fact, to Maida Vale. I opened a shop in Maida Vale. Maida Vale.
Right.
8 Berwick Avenue, Maida Vale. Cost us a fortune in those days.
You want to see this?
3 stories.
Parading around that shop. Parading around that shop.
3 stories of salon. And it's interesting. I've worked everywhere, Barry. I've worked in New York, the Caribbean, I've worked everywhere, Africa. And it's interesting. Salons are tiny these days. I mean, in the old days, you look for space. Because you know then, in those days, you're looking to recruit apprentices. Barbers, you're recruiting stylists. So your shop would be sometimes 20 strong.
Yeah, a team.
20 strong, literally. You had your artistic director, you had your barbers, you had your PR person, you had all sorts of. So you needed a large salon.
It really did aspire.
It's a big That's right. I
mean, I remember a lady called Pansy Alexander.
Pansy.
Yes,
absolutely.
Of course, and she had her salon called Body Garage.
I remember Patsy,
which was 3 stories.
That's right.
So you had beauty on one.
That was the trend.
Hairdressing on the other.
That's right.
Barbering on the other.
That's right. That was the trend. Yeah. One stop.
Have those places go.
It's interesting. I think salons have become smaller. As a matter of fact, I think barber shops have taken over from salons.
Right.
It's a shame. I couldn't tell you what's responsible for that, but
that was going to be my next question. What do you think has been the change in the trend?
I think perhaps because I think the hip hop industry has influenced our boys and girls obviously to focus on their look. I think. Black men have always cut their hair. You remember as a kid, you had the skiffle. You went to the barbershop. But I think the whole idea of dress, hip-hop, has actually influenced that change with the fade. The fade, I think, revolutionized men's hair care. And I still think barbers should, in my opinion, move to the next level. In relation to our contemporary white salons, I think I need to see more barbers doing the full thing, massaging, head massage, facial, whatever, pedicure, manicure, and so on. But barbering has become phenomenal.
Now, what do you think about the advent of weaves and the hairdressing industry?
That's an interesting topic, Barry. That's an interesting topic.
Well, I mean, it's a good question to ask someone like you who's come from the beginning, where it was really about the technique of hair and making the hair move. Now it's very much about weaves. What do you think about that?
Well, to be fair to most sisters, I think weaving came under the auspices of what they call protective hairdressing.
Right.
Protective hairdressing. Okay. So what the sisters were trying to do, they were aiming to probably grow the hair. So they felt by leaving their natural hair underneath the weave, they would then have this copy, maybe a nice hairstyle. Wear the weave daytimes, I presume, remove the weave or the wig at nighttime, and allow the hair to grow back. It's called protective hairdressing.
Right.
So you're not putting
all the processing in your
pressure.
hair.
That's right. That's the premise. Having said that, I think the weave may have backfired. The concept of the weave may have backfired, because what you now have, you have this weave or the wig constantly rubbing on your hairline at the back of the head, and so you had this thing called traction alopecia.
Right.
So we've seen supermodels like Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
Losing her hair.
Over the years,
right.
Wearing the weave, pulling it so tightly.
That's right. So the weave indirectly has become, if you like, a kind of a necessary evil. It's a nice thing aesthetically to look at, but in the long term, your hair is actually suffering. And why should it? And why would you want to cover your hair anyway? Because your hair needs light. It needs sunlight. It needs air. It needs nutrients.
Yeah.
And the nutrients is in the air. So why would you want to cover your hair? When the weave is removed, all you have left is just rotten hair.
Yeah.
Basically, a weave is a good thing in my opinion. Something you wear as an accessory.
Right.
I recommend to my clients, if you want to wear a weave, buy a wig.
Yeah.
Or have a lace front. But you remove the weave at night time and allow your hair to
Well, I mean, really, that's what it's become. It's become an accessory, like a bracelet, a ring,
supposed to be.
A pair of earrings, a necklace. It's supposed to be like
but not to replace your hair. Not a substitute, unfortunately. And I can understand the economics. I mean, the weave could be, in those days, was £600.
Yeah.
And so if you did your weave, why do you want to remove it? Leave it on for 6-7 months. The sad thing is, after 6 or 7 months, your hair is gone.
Yeah.
Or your hairline is gone.
It actually defeats the
purpose.
Because you put it in as protective.
That's right.
It's actually destroyed your hair.
That's right, yeah. Because the hair becomes dry, the hairline is gone, the back is gone, and now you have to start all over again. And invariably, you have to chop the whole thing off and start afresh. Yeah. And for some sisters, if they've managed to keep the hairline, if the hairline is still there, then they could start all over again and do a nice frill.
Say it's damaged irreparably.
Yeah.
So, made a veil. And then I remember you went back to Grenada and started your whole process.
I went, well, okay, so we were doing very, very well. But, you know, I mean, you know the Caribbean parenting. And, you know, there was a time in the UK when everyone was looking to the Caribbean. You want to go back to give back.
Yeah.
Right? You want to go back to give back. And I decided I'm going to take the salon, I'll take the concept of the Caribbean. And I went back to Grenada. I think it was 85. 85, I went back to Grenada. It's a long time ago. But
I don't remember the 20 years. I was thinking 2000.
It was 85. We went back. Wow. I took an entire salon back to the Caribbean, opened 4 shops and a school in Grenada. And the plan was to give back to the Caribbean people, and hoping to, we opened a school with the idea of attracting students from throughout the Caribbean.
Oh, right.
And that was quite successful. We had students from Antigua, we had people from Barbados, we had people from Trinidad that we used to train. And that was the plan, was to go back to give back, basically.
Right. So that ended.
Yeah, unfortunately, with time, I think it sort of it didn't work over after many years. The islands could be very hard at times. The Caribbean could be tough. It's just,
do business.
Because of course.
You're not talking about a
yeah, absolutely. You know what's interesting? I went back, and I think, as you know, most of our. Back then was very emotional. I just felt I need to go back home to get some rest, to give back, as I said. And I remember before I went back, I spoke to a Jewish friend of mine, businessman, Douglas DeCosta. Remember him?
Yeah, of course.
Douglas DeCosta was the man who brought Fashion Fair to London. Jewish brother, big businessman. He said to me, Derek, you are doing so well as a young man. Why do you want to go to the Caribbean? Why not stay here? You've just started building this big brand. And he said to me, so how many people are there in Grenada? I says, 90,000. Because, but Derek, that's not enough. You need to sustain. Yeah. But I wasn't
just on sales alone. That's not enough.
That's not enough. But in my opinion, I'm going back home to give back to my people. He didn't understand that dynamic, and but he was right in the end. I just thought, people were just leaving the islands by the droves.
Well, sometimes you have a fantasized idea.
I think it was,
the reality.
Yeah, it may have been unrealistic, but I did enjoy myself and a great time. I took the kids back. My kids had a Caribbean education, and today my daughter. My eldest daughter is in the Caribbean as a result. She loves the Caribbean. Right. She's a journalist. She's her name is Celebrity Clement. Brilliant journalist, brilliant fashion person. She's right there right now because we took them back. So I think it did work.
That connection.
That's right. That roots education. Mm.
So when did the New York period come in?
Well, after this is it, Barry. You know me, I'm pioneering. America is the place for hair. We were. Remember, Splinters was an American salon. Splinters was a collaboration between 4 or 5 Americans and Winston Issacs.
Right.
All right. And I remember Winston saying to me that they couldn't decide what to name the salon, and there were so many names and ideas that because it became splintered. A splintered concept, and they decided that's it, it's a Splinters. So it was an American salon initially with people like Winston. A couple of his partners were very wealthy, and so having trained under that American kind of concept, regime, I decided that's it, I need to go to America. I need to go to America because it is the place for black hair.
It really is.
It's the place for black hair.
So where did you start?
Well, I went to Brooklyn.
Okay.
The place to be. I mean, Brooklyn is the Caribbean sort of stronghold. Yeah. So I went to Brooklyn and
Flatbush is something else.
Flatbush, Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn on Utica Avenue, and I literally had got my own house up there on Eastern Parkway, and I managed a shop at on Utica Avenue, and I stayed there for about 15 years. It's brilliant.
As long as that.
It's brilliant. Loved it. Loved the States. Love the fact that in America, hair is not a sister's option. Hair, the women view the hair as first and foremost. Yeah. It's not an option. They don't think about it twice. And I wish our sisters here would adopt that mentality. The hair is
all the hairdressing that you really do over here comes from the
States. That's right. That's right. From the States.
And I products,
everything back then. Because remember back in the day, I mean, you should remember, all the big brands were here. Soft Sheen, Dark and Lovely, Soft Sheen, all the big brands came. Because London wasn't manufacturing products. I think they did in the end, but all the big names came from.
And it always comes with Dyke and Dryden.
That's right. But before Dyke and Dryden, they came. Winston used to order his stuff from the States. We had to go to the docks.
Oh, really?
It's interesting. Barry, pick up the dock and bring back to the salon. I see a lot of our Asian contemporaries with beauty supply stores. And I don't think they realize that we were the pioneers who brought products into this country. And it was very, very hard. And Winston would bring in relaxers and shampoos by the gallons because he couldn't buy it in London.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Look at London today. You could get pretty much anything anywhere in Harlesden, Peckham, Brixton, Shepherd's Bush.
But in those days,
you
get it.
You had to go to the States and literally bring it back.
Or wait for somebody to.
That's right. That's right.
Or pay a fortune to go to Winston to get it done.
And he brought all the stuff, all the relaxers. In those days, he had relaxers like Jaffrey's. Remember, Jaffrey's was one of those relaxers that was very.
Listen, Jaffrey's on my head. Let me tell you, it's like razor blades.
They were strong relaxers.
That was strong relaxers.
They're strong relaxers, actually, but they were good. They were good because we were taught in those days how to navigate the head without burning a client. You based that scalp with all the best oils in those days.
Yeah,
you based that scalp pretty well. And when you relax the hair, unfortunately, I see hairdressers today. They apply relaxers to the hair and it's slapped on the hair. They slap it on. Yeah. There's no method to the madness.
Yeah,
they slap it on.
Well, I mean, you're still in the industry, so you would know. Is the training different? Has the training changed? Have the products changed that the training needed to be changed? What is it?
I think back then, since it was obviously a revolutionary thing to relax Afro hair from its natural state into the straightened state, you had to know what you're doing. And Winston was I mean, as I said, he was a pioneer.
Technician.
That's right. He learned the craft and he taught us. And then in those days, you base your scalp, you apply, you ensure the scalp is protected. And why not? Because the relaxers were very, very strong. But we never burnt anyone.
Yeah.
The techniques that we employed was perfect.
Well, that's the truth, because you did used to hear some horror stories.
Oh my God! Well,
people leaving their house salon with their hair on fire.
Well, there's a famous.
You never ever heard that about Splinters?
Hell no. We relaxed the hair with precision.
Yeah.
And I learned in those days when you apply the relaxer to the scalp, you apply the relaxer away from the scalp.
Yeah.
But I've seen salons. They just apply it on the scalp. They slap it on. Hoping for the best. And it's not even done methodically. You apply it on the hair and that's it. Anyhow, that's it.
So your salon now, where is this salon?
I'm in Ealing Broadway. I'm in collaboration with a business partner. So we're in Ealing Broadway and we're doing a great job actually. It's very busy. All my old clients still follow me. I've left the country, came back, and my clients are still there. Yeah. So I'm very blessed to know that my clients have never left me. They've never left.
They were always just waiting for you.
That's right. So I've been back 5 years now. Right. Came back in 2011. We opened a shop in Ealing Broadway.
Back in your old stomping.
Back in my old stomping ground. That's right. Yeah, and it's did a brilliant job. I'm hoping to do another. I'll tell you perhaps the next interview. There's another plan I've got because I think hairdressing and barbering barbering is massive. Barbering is huge.
Right. So I remember they used to have Battle of the Barbers.
Battle of the Barbers. That's right.
Afro Hair and Beauty.
Afro Hair and Beauty. We've seemed to stop that now.
Oh, is it stopped?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm sure barbering is taking another level. But I know barbering is. Barbers are doing it now. Barbers are doing a brilliant job too.
Fade and the.
Yeah, because also there are lots of females who are going natural. For whatever reason, there's a new movement. That's right, into wonderful shapes. Remember the actress in 12 Years a Slave?
Yeah.
What's her name now? Nyong'o. Right. Something Nyong'o. She had a brilliant haircut, and that has inspired many sisters to emulate that style. What's her name? Nyong'o something. Anyway. Lovely hairstyles. And then there are many celebrities today who wear their hair natural.
Natural, yeah. But as we were saying earlier, this whole thing about natural hair, I think is great.
Good idea.
Well cared, well manicured, taken care of.
That's right. Yeah.
Natural hair. But there seems to be a confusion between natural hair and uncombed hair.
Right, yes, I do understand, yeah, I do.
Now, as someone in the industry, I need you to explain that to me because I would love to understand how natural hair is being confused with uncombed hair because natural hair can be well manicured, as you said, cared from, greased, creamed,
that's right.
Combed.
That's right. And then you have this uncombed thing that's like you've just got out of bed. So you're old school, Barry. I mean, you are brought up on the sort of, I mean, very, very, the old school thing about making sure your hair is combed and it's plaited or it's tidy. But I think the Afro revolution, I think it's a revolution, has become phenomenal. Yeah. I think for whatever reason, the sisters are just having perhaps difficulties with the relaxing or the idea of relaxing. I think, and that takes us back to the days when for many sisters, a relaxer was traumatizing. If it wasn't done properly, if it wasn't done by a professional, your mother, your friend, your sister, your boyfriend may relax your hair and burn the crap out of yourself. And I think it traumatized many black women. And they've remembered that trauma. And I think for whatever reason, there's a new movement now that the sisters are just opting away from relaxers. And that's fine. That's a brilliant idea. I think it's brilliant because we now have more options. We have the braids, we have locks, we have fantastic twist and curls.
The locks.
There's things like ragging where you cut the hair in a beautiful shape and you literally rag the top of the hair and you get this lovely bubbly effect. So I am into the natural movement myself. I love to see, but as you said, it shouldn't be uncombed.
Yes.
You can't just leave your hair natural. It has to be stylized.
Well cared.
Stylized.
Natural hair.
Yeah, you could literally take an afro hair these days. So one doesn't need to relax the hair anymore because we've discovered that with good oils, hence my oil,
yes,
good oils and decent GHDs or good combs, good irons, you could blow dry the hair dead straight.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. So black hair in its natural state is phenomenal. If it's long, let's say shoulder length, a good blow dry, good oils to protect the hair because the oils are effectively heat protectors. That's what they are, right? You apply the oil and you would press that baby dead straight. And it would bounce.
Is this a new phenomenon?
It's a new thing. It's called press and curl for many people.
Okay.
You go to the States, you see the Hispanic girls blow drying the hair, and then you get the GHD or the flat irons, and you press that hair. But our parents did that back in the day.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's really
well, they used the press and comb.
Yeah.
They used the press and comb, but today you've got some fantastic tools.
Right.
Right? You've got GHDs, they're phenomenal. I've got about 4 or 5 of them.
Right.
They're made from natural elements. Right? And they would press that hair so straight it looks and behaves.
With no chemical.
No chemical. So a sister, and I think that's the reason why the sisters are opting for natural hair, because they've got the choice.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Blow dry it today, wear it natural tomorrow.
That's great. But listen, Derek, you are looking so good. I need to know the secret. What
wow.
do you do to look out?
Oh boy.
Your schedule seems so busy. You're all over the place. You're living all over the place, traveling.
Literally.
What do you do to look after
London, New York, Jamaica, Grenada, Africa is my next move. West Africa and South Africa. I've got so many followers in South Africa. So many. But the South Africans are the ones who are really demanding me, Derek, come over. We need to learn how to cut. See, cutting is my expertise.
Right.
Cutting is my expertise. Right. I love hair, but I love to cut hair. Because to me, hair without a shape makes no difference. You need to have, as you said, the pivotal things, the movement, the bounce, and the balance. Right, so yeah, I mean, I don't know, I think hard work, Barry. I think hard work. I've got too much, I've got children, it's about the legacy.
How many children is that?
4. So I think perhaps the children keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the key.
Well, something's working. So what do you do to look after yourself? Do you meditate? Do you... what do you do?
I'm a fundamental believer in diet, in food.
Absolutely.
Our famous founder, the very first doctor, I think was Imhotep, said, food is medicine, and medicine is food. And as peoples of the Caribbean, we have all the foods in the Caribbean. We have the bush or the herbs. We have. I love porridge.
Yeah.
I discovered plantain porridge in 1990 in the States by my Jamaican friend. We couldn't find cereal. Right. She said, Derek, let's get some plantain. And from that day on, every single morning at 6 o'clock, Barry, I have plantain porridge with, of course, I must have the old Caribbean stuff, what people call saffron.
Yeah.
You know saffron, right? Turmeric. Saffron, turmeric, that's me every morning. Plantain porridge, can't help it.
Well, it's working.
Absolutely, keep it simple. You eat 3 times a day. You simply have your meal every day at the same time because food is medicine.
Well, the thing is, as you say, the Caribbean diet.
It's the best.
We didn't even know how organic and it's the true meaning of organic.
We were the founders of organic.
Okra.
That's right. That's
breadfruit.
Oh, you name it.
When you look at the properties now, you Google, you realize when you were eating these things till you were sick and crying and going, I don't want it. But you now realize the properties that these things were giving you and nurturing.
That's right. Well, take for instance cocoa.
Yeah.
Big Grenadian drink, cocoa.
The chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. Chocolate has all the bees in it.
That's right.
Okay, it has all the omega 3, 6, and 9. It's oil, effectively.
Literally.
Good oils.
That's the
good oils.
Good oil.
Because the body doesn't produce oil.
Yeah.
So we have to provide the body with oil. It doesn't produce 2 things, vitamins and oil. And the reason why most sisters' hair doesn't grow, I say to my clients, you need to supplement your hair. If you want your hair to grow, you need to supplement your hair. And I recommend biotin. Biotin is a hair growth enhancer.
Oil, yeah.
There are 7 or 8 of them. Aloe vera, the hair growth enhancer. Ginseng, hair growth enhancer. There's a brilliant thing called great Jamaican Caribbean herb. It's going to come to me in a few seconds. You got the other, not just aloe, but black castor oil. You've got rosemary. There's an all hair growth enhancer, and you've got the biotin, but you need to buy the biotin.
That's great that you being in the industry, you know the science as well.
Absolutely.
You know the science, which is important.
Well, hair grows at a cellular level.
Right.
And I tell my clients, do not come to me and ask me for external solutions. For your hair to grow effectively, it's holistic. It's holistic. It's inside.
That's right.
Right? What you have in your scalp is your hair shaft. That's dead. Does it have any sensation? No. You can cut your hair. Would you cry? Hell no. Hair grows on the inside. So I say to my clients, I will provide for you a decent oil to embellish, to laminate, to protect the hair from heat, from the elements, but you need to take care of
It's what you're putting inside. Nutrition.
Water, absolutely crucial.
Well, that's for everything.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Precisely. That's right. That's right.
That's everything.
That's right. But vitamins A to K is where A to K you find all the good stuff for hair growth.
Now, talk us through these products here.
Right, so I mean, as I said, Barry, it's important that when I do my customers' hair, it's absolutely fundamental that we have an oil to protect it. So I've got something called, my oils are called basically DCC. It's called DCC, which is Derek Clement.
That's Derek Clement.
That's right. Yeah. DCC Factor 1 and DCC Factor 2. I've actually got my manufacturers. My manufacturers are a British manufacturer. They're up in Manchester. I talk with them to make my oils. So this is done by me. After many years of doing hairdressing, I know what I need, what works on the hair. So I've done 2 oils. I've got the DCC Factor 1 and the DCC Factor 2. Okay, so if I could show the camera.
DCC Factor 2.
Right, and DCC Factor 1. Okay? You add them, you put them together. So 2 drops. So just check this, Barry. This is, you've got 1 here and you've got 2 here. So all right, so you drop that in the palm or on the wrist like this.
Ooh.
Nice, isn't it?
Nice.
Rub that together. Okay.
Oh, so they have to be used together.
Together. Right. One's for the scalp and the other is for the hair shaft. Okay? And the DCC Factor 1 is the argan oil. How does it smell? Brilliant fragrance.
It's like honey.
Literally.
Sure, you put this on your hair.
It's for the hair and for the skin too. Because remember, it's argan oil. It's argan oil. It's argan oil from Morocco.
Wow.
Okay. And the serum shine is for the hair shaft. That's a hair protector.
And it's light.
Nice and light. Lovely and light. There they are. The DCC.
Look at this skin.
Nice and soft, isn't it?
My God.
Put it on your hair, Barry. Put it on your hair. You know. That's right. Right? So I mean, there are many other, I've got the shampoos, I've got the conditioners, I've got the but those are my main sellers. And right. I like oils.
Smells lovely.
And it works on all hair types. All hair types. But I use this for my afros, but I call it black.
Right.
Braids, locks, afros.
You can see how this would work on natural hair.
Of course it does.
Than process.
Yeah, but that fragrance is lovely, isn't it?
This is stunning.
Yes, literally.
I actually want this to pull up.
It's lovely. I'm telling you, man. It took me many years to do this. And this works wonders. It sells. So those are my main sellers. They sell very, very fast. Every client of mine buy this by the
And you just need a little bit because those 2 little drops you put there.
Yeah.
It's like
miracle,
completely.
Miracle oil. I call them the miracle oils. Right. They do work. And as I said, right, as a hairdresser of many, many years, aftercare is fundamental. When you leave the salon, I say to my clients, great haircuts are fine. Maintenance.
You must maintain that come back to me.
Wrap the baby, wrap the hair, and you use your oils.
You need to do the coaching classes.
And we should do a separate workshop. How to wrap. Wrapping is you've got to maintain your hair. You can't just go to the barbers and do your hair or the hairdressers. You have to maintain your hair yourself.
In between.
Yeah. Of course.
So what's the little competition you have?
Right. So there's a competition. I'm going to ask all my viewers. I'm torn between the founder. I've mentioned his name 3 or 4 times. You should
5 or 6.
Oh, 5 or 6 times. Right. The founder of Splinters International. Shop was in Maidavale. It was at Mayfair.
Maddox Street.
Number 32 Maddox Street in Mayfair in those days. The founder of Splinters International. And there's your present. Brilliant. The argan oils.
So here, if you can name the founding father of Splinters, which was Maddox Street in the West End, you go to Derek's salon.
That's right.
And you get your product.
That's right. Oh, they can call me. I could call me and I could give you the telephone number. 0.
All the details will be put up, website, address, etc.
That's right. And it's there.
Well, what an honor
Barrie, it's a pleasure.
Such a busy man.
It's a pleasure.
To just take some time out to come and see me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, my man. It's a pleasure. We go back a long time, by the way. We go back a long time.
In actual fact, he just reminded me of the first modeling job I actually did when I came into Splinters as a young Yes, to model for Splinters.
Barried.
Hair beauty.
And he was a much smaller man back in the day. He was very fine. He was trim.
It's true.
I can see it now, Barrie.
A shadow of my foot.
Tall and slim.
Yeah. Anyway.
Those were the days.
Thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure. Totally enjoyed it.
Wonderful to talk to you.
It's fantastic.
And of course, you will come back at a later date.
Of course.
When the new project is up and running.
Absolutely.
To come and tell us about that.
Very soon. It's coming very soon.
Yes. Can't wait.
We're going to add barbering to the whole concept.
Absolutely.
Great. Barrie, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Guys, thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next week. And see you soon.
Thank you. It's been nice talking to you.